Hey, what's up, future Cat, future Joe, future Livy? We wanted to make a video to kind of recap the day, December 30th, 2020, and how we got Olivia and how she was almost born in the parking lot. So, Cat's going to start a little bit with on the 29th when we went to bed. We knew we had a scheduled induction because Olivia was due on the 25th. She didn't come on the 25th. And then we finally scheduled an induction date on the 30th, 7 a.m. But we didn't make it there. So go ahead, Kat.
Okay, so at 4 on the 29th, 4 a.m., I woke up having contractions. They were 30 seconds long, but about 5-6 minutes apart. The goal is 5 minutes apart for a minute long. So we weren't quite there yet. And this happened the entire day. Mm-hmm. So my contractions were consistent. They were coming every 5 minutes, but they never got longer than 30 seconds long, which when I researched it, it's called like prodromal labor or something. So we went to bed. My parents came into town to watch James in case it got worse. We went to bed that night, and then at 12:30 I woke up and the contractions were
Go ahead, sorry.
definitely stronger. I don't know if I slept at all, but they were a lot stronger, and they were spaced out more. So at this point they were like 10 minutes apart, but they were lasting for at least a minute.
I was sleeping.
Yeah. I think I woke Joe up at like 2:30 because they just kept getting more and more painful. And obviously, like, I couldn't sleep through them, so I was just trying to rest in between. And I didn't want to be turned away from the hospital.
Uh-oh. Keep talking.
I was worried about being turned away from the hospital, so I was trying to wait until they were 5 to 7 minutes apart. But at 2:30, like, the pain was so bad, I was like, Joe, get up, go shower. I think we need to leave soon. We left probably at... Oh, we left at 4.
Was it 4?
So
Yeah.
maybe
like
I woke him up a little after. I don't know. We left at 4 though, because I texted my sister, like, we're on the way to the hospital. And it's a 45-minute drive. So we're driving, and every contraction is just getting worse and worse. And it was so painful. They were coming, like, when we left the house, it was like 9-10 minutes apart. And then all of a sudden it was 5 minutes apart, 4, 3, and we were not even...
We weren't at the hospital yet.
We weren't at the hospital. So I was like, what is happening? We get to where we're like, I don't know, a couple miles away, and just
things ramp up.
Things start to change. The intensity of the contractions, it was almost unbearable. And I just could feel movement down below. Like, she was about to crown, or she had started crowning. And
we're still in the car, still like a good ways away.
Yeah, a couple miles. I mean, thankfully, literally no one's on the road. We're driving through Winter Park, and there's no one around, so we don't have to wait on people. But
we got to this really bad red light, and your mom's like, "Just go."
Yeah, I'm like, just go, please.
Red is red.
I'm trying to explain to Joe, like, how serious this was. Like, she was coming. So we pull into the parking lot, and like, my water breaks, and we find a parking spot. We get out of the car, and I'm like, I can't walk.
Yeah.
I felt like Olivia was going to fall out of me. It was so intense.
Like, the door's right there, and she's like, I can't walk. And I'm like, all right, how do I get you inside?
Yeah, so thankfully there was...
I'm sorry, baby.
A wheelchair in the parking lot for some reason, and I sat in it. Okay, I'm in the wheelchair. We go up to the door that we know because we just had James here last year, and it's barricaded. It's also closed because it's 4:30 a.m. or whatever. So Joe calls.
There's like a phone outside. Yeah, I was just saying, I forgot what I asked for exactly. I was like, hey, we're looking for labor and delivery. My wife's about to give birth. And then she's like, oh, that entrance is blocked. You need to go through the emergency room. And I was like, all right, is that to the left or my right from where I'm at? And then I don't know what she said, but she said emergency room. I promise she said emergency room. So we go to the right into the main entrance. and we step in, and there's like a couple people there, like cleaning staff, I think. And then they point us in the direction that's the completely opposite direction.
We asked for the emergency room, and that's where they pointed us, but it was the opposite direction of labor and delivery. So we should have been asking for labor and delivery, which looking back now, that seems obvious, but we were in a state of
I didn't know what I was doing.
Panic, and I was like having a baby in a wheelchair. So Joe is like zooming through the halls. We're like, emergency room, emergency room. We get into the emergency room. I'm screaming. Like, I mean, I can feel her. You know, she's there. And we go into some random hallway, and there's a bed there, a triage bed. That's what they call it.
Before, like, she's farting. So we end up to like the emergency room lobby, and then there's like this receptionist, and I'm like looking at her, and I like pull Catherine to a stop because, you know, we had a lot of momentum, and then she's like, "Oh, you came to the wrong place," and I'm like, "We need help. Please get us to a bed." I think that's not exactly what I said, but I said something like that.
I don't even remember this.
She was freaking, yeah, because she like stood up. She was like looking around, like, "Oh, you came to the wrong place, right?" And I'm like, just do something, please. So she like scans her card, and we go into what is now like the emergency department.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was like a hallway because it was not wide.
Yeah.
It was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a little. It was like the little entranceway into the emergency department, which it's not. You don't have like a room. You don't have. It's very open. There's staff everywhere. Like, you know, when you do labor and delivery, you have like a private room. We were out in the open, like staff everywhere, people looking. Not, I don't know about people, but staff at least were there.
There was no people. There was a.
Oh, there's people in the reception area.
Yes.
Because this lady looked at me like I was crazy.
Yes, we were in a
different.
different.
Yeah.
We went room.
Into the
Yeah, well, I was screaming, so I'm sure.
Yeah, there was a guy and a girl.
Like, what's going on?
I looked to my right, and she's looking at me like.
So anyway, some guy, I don't know if he's the ER doctor or nurse. He helped me get on the bed, and I just start like ripping my pants off because I knew I had to push.
At this point, I was like, Catherine went rogue. She's like, she gets under the bed and just, I'm like, oh shoot, like right here, and yeah. So that happens. From my perspective, like she starts pulling, and I could see like not to get, but you could see like water had broken. There was like fluids and stuff. So yeah, stuff was coming. That's when I like finally saw like, all right, we were past a couple steps here. But then, so she does that, and I come around, and I could see at least like an inch, almost 2 inches of Livy's head.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh, we've already broke. We're past like, yeah, and we're just in the middle of this little hallway.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing baby's head.
The guy is like, he's like, no, don't push, because he sees like I'm taking my pants off, and I was like, no, I have to. And then happened to be a labor and delivery nurse down there, or like nearby, and she was able to get there in time, and she like pulls my leg back.
Yeah, I don't know why she was there.
And yeah, I don't know why, but I'm glad she was, because nobody else really knew what was going on.
We were like the hot potato, like everyone was looking around like,
what do we do?
No one knew what to do there.
Yeah, except this girl. So
yeah.
Shelby, I'm never gonna forget her name. She's like, you know, pull your leg back, push, and then Olivia just flew out, and so my eyes are closed the whole time. I feel her fly out, and I look up. Her. I heard her cry, and so then I was relieved, and so I just like,
yeah,
like I just laid there, and
yeah.
It's okay. What happened for you during that time? You missed it.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. So they pulled us behind this curtain. Oh my gosh, it was such a blur. There's like 6 people, all like trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, everyone in the emergency room that was working basically showed up, and I think they were all just trying to figure out, okay, what do we do?
People kept asking me questions like, hey, do you know her doctor? Do you have her ID?
Yeah,
and I'm
people
like,
were not understanding that, like, I was literally giving birth right then.
Yeah, which is, it's just okay, because there's nothing I can do, like, well, I guess it's comfort and support and all that kind of stuff, but.
All that nonsense.
Yeah, all that nonsense. But, so I'm like going through her purse, I get her ID, I give it to someone. And then what else happens? So then I go back to Catherine. I end up on your left side, and I look at you, and I'm trying to say something nice, and then I look to the left, and Livy's out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So Livy's out, crying. like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ruby. I'm not talking about you. Or I'm talking bad about you. Shelby does the quick procedures. She clamps the umbilical cord. It's like, Dad, you want to cut it? So we do that normal procedure. The placenta didn't come out.
Not yet.
Yeah, so I could see the cord, or it was still inside of Catherine.
Yeah. But
yeah.
then, a couple minutes later, the OB doctor on call showed up.
Kind of sucked,
But he was not. Stop. He was not there. It took him a little while to get there. Like I said, the emergency room is far from labor and delivery. Like, it's across the hospital.
Yeah.
So we went pretty far, and I was in a wheelchair, so I was going faster. But anyway, he showed up, and they basically they took me upstairs. Right?
Yeah.
Did anything else even really happen? You got to hold her, so I didn't get to hold her. I still had like my bra, my shirt, and a jacket on.
Yeah.
And I had torn some, and so I was bleeding, and also I hadn't delivered. Oh, I finally did deliver the placenta. But anyway, Joe got to hold her.
Yeah, so I was away checking on what they were doing with Livy.
Yeah.
Because Catherine had like 4 people, and I like, she was like, I could tell she was fine. She was like head back, like breathing, and like was good. And compared to James, it looked, again, just the whole area, everything. I thought it looked better than with James, so I was like, okay, I think we're fine. There was no reason to be alarmed, and then so I went around behind the curtain to where they were doing Livy. They did like a small inspection. They wrapped her up. What did they do? Then they gave her to me. I gave her to Catherine after a few minutes. They gave like Catherine an IV. And we're just checking on her. The L&D doctor was trying to do some stuff with the umbilical cord, like collect blood and stuff. And then that was kind of it, I think. That all happened in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so fast.
Yeah, everything we're saying, maybe like including the parking lot.
Parking lot
like 5 minutes
to delivery
but
was less than 10 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so fast. You're supposed to wait on contractions to push. I don't think I did. I think I was just like, she needs to come out. I don't know.
Which is the complete opposite from James, because James was he took like 24 plus hours.
Yeah, and 45 minutes of pushing. But
yeah. So
then they wheeled me upstairs. They did, and then everything was like, back to normal.
Yeah, we had our room.
Stitched me up. They did all of the baby's vitals, weighed her. Then I got to nurse her. And yeah, we're here. She's here. We're both healthy.
Yeah, the first night was a little rough with her sleeping and stuff, but the second night was a lot better.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. Like, I thought we still had time too, because with Catherine going back to the 2 a.m., she's feeling contractions, but they're far enough apart. We thought, okay, well, let's go. Maybe we'll start having labor like in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or 3 hours,
yeah.
Once we've already been at the hospital for at least 1 hour. But, so Livy's head was already popping out, and we had just parked, and Catherine couldn't walk. And there just happened to be, praise God, there happened to be a wheelchair right behind our car. Like, there was a parking spot and a wheelchair.
And we have looked, nonstop out the window. There's no wheelchairs there.
Yeah, no one puts wheelchairs out there. I don't know why it was there.
Yeah. And had it not been there, I would have given birth in the parking lot.
Because she couldn't walk, and there's no way I could get her into the hospital.
Yeah, the only reason Olivia was not born in the parking lot is because I sat down in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So there was like something stopping her from coming out, because had I stood up, she would have come out.
I think in hindsight, I did everything wrong. Yeah, the should have, could have, would have is it's hard not to. They all happen to blur, but what we were saying though too was kind of crazy. Not that I would like to do that again. Catherine didn't get hooked up to anything like she was with James. Like,
well, yeah, nothing.
There was no time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird, because it's like there's silver linings, and it's like because it happened so fast, it happened natural, and it happened.
And I'm
fast and natural.
I'm not hurting nearly as bad, even though I have the same tear, this second-degree tear again. It's nothing like it was the first time. I'm also like not sore. Other stuff I don't TMI, but like Yeah, because it happened so quickly.
No, yeah. IV was fine, because there was like at least 3 other things that Catherine had to get hooked up to with James.
Yeah, I
and
think
all
I
that
had
was
like
gone.
2 catheters in, plus my IV and the epidural.
Yeah.
And because I was like on Pitocin. Anyway, none of that had to be done, which is really nice. That's definitely the silver lining to this.
Yeah.
You good?
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're happy to have Livy now.
Yeah.
She threw us a curveball, the curveball.
She was 5 days late and then came like so quickly.